Cool. I finally got it figured out. So exciting for me. Okay, we are live. I have a bunch of things to chat with you guys about today. Thanks for all your comments and your questions. That helps this process be tailored to exactly what you all need. So I am happy that I keep getting messages from you and comments from you because that helps me tie things together when you guys tell me about what's going on for you real time and what's happening as you're doing these challenges. So as a reminder, we are in the Is It Worth It challenge, and a number of you have taken on that challenge. If you have not seen the Is It Worth It challenge, I introduced it on Monday. There is a document that explains what it is in your resources. If you just hashtag HFTH, Healthy for the Holidays, when you go into Facebook, HFTH, you'll see all of the posts about it. You'll see the documents in there. Hopefully I've made it as easy as possible for you to find everything that you need. So we are on Thursday of the Is It Worth It challenge. And I'm excited to hear all of the ways that you guys are using this. And there has been some great questions that have come out of it. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to answer your questions. And I picked a few that sort of illustrated different things that could be coming up for you or, just coming up in the process. And so let me go ahead and read those. Hold on, I'm also letting you into the Zoom. Okay. So the first one, this one I thought was fantastic. So one of you described, you're doing the Healthy for the Holidays challenge, and you said, yesterday afternoon, I asked myself, is it worth it? When I needed a sweet fix at 2 p.m., I waited on it. I distracted myself. I moved to another room. So she's kind of using coping skills to not have the candy. She said, finally, I grabbed 5 candies from the Halloween basket. What was different for me this time from in the past is that I sat with the candy slowly, ate it, savored each piece, which I never do, she says. It's always gulp down the hatch. After I ate the 5 pieces, I wasn't mad, frustrated, or annoyed that I had eaten it. The candy actually met the need that I had, and I'd moved on with the day. I made this choice mindfully. Yay! That's a celebration in my book. She says, in the past, I would eat around not having the candy. This part's really important. I would eat around not having the candy. And almost always that created an even larger problem because the sweet need hadn't been met. And I would mindlessly search the pantry and eat everything else around me that didn't fully satisfy my sweet need. This would leave me mad, sad, frustrating, and hurting physically because of everything I had just eaten. You're right. Sometimes it's worth it and sometimes it's not. Okay, I want to break this down a little bit because there's so many pieces to this that are incredibly important, and it seems subtle and it seems like not a big deal, but this is actually the work. This is how true transformation and change really does happen. So the first piece that she said was she asked herself the question. She gave herself curiosity. Do I want this candy? And it sounds like in the beginning, she was sort of, I'm going to try not to eat it. I'm going to try not to eat it. I'm going to try not to eat it now. I didn't mention this yet, but here we are in Thursday of this, so I will mention it. It sounds like I'm going to try not to eat it, came from a rule. I can't have candy. Candy is not allowed, right? That was her rule. And so she spent the first part of the situation trying to adhere to her rules. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to leave the room. Finally, she makes a mindful decision. Okay, I do want the candy. I'm going to have the candy, but I'm going to do it in a mindfully connected way. So she gets the candy, 5 pieces. She goes to sit down. She enjoys the candy. She's staying mindful and connected to the candy. So before I move on to that piece, the very first thing that she did correctly, she may not have known it, but was to let go of the rule, I can't have candy, and ask herself, stay curious about the need, right? Now, we can argue need candy, right? Nobody needs candy. But in that moment, she made the mindful decision that, yes, what I want here, what my body is desiring, what I have a desire for, and the reason for the desire, we can talk about it at a different time. But for today, I've got the desire for the candy, right? So I want this candy. That's my desire. And I'm going to mindfully make a decision to fulfill that desire with candy, okay? As you notice, she said that in her previous history, because of the rule, I can't have candy, she would not eat the candy, right? White knuckle it, make herself not eat the candy. But did you hear what she said? She ate everything around it, right? So she'd go into the pantry and mindlessly grab everything else so that she could follow her rule of not eating the candy. And what did that do? Paradoxically, it likely made her eat even more food content calories than she would have if she had just mindfully eaten the candy, right? So when she said she ate around the need, what she's saying is, I have a rule, I can't have candy. What she wants is the candy, but I have a rule that I can't have any, but I can have all these other things. So I'm going to go in the pantry and I'm going to eat all of this other stuff. And what did she say? She said, this would leave me mad, sad, frustrating, and hurting physically because of everything else I'd eaten. So in this case, she lets go of the rule, I can't have candy. And she says, that's what I want. So I'm going to do it mindfully. I'm going to have the candy, I'm going to do it mindfully. Grabs 5 pieces, goes and enjoys them. This is the key. She enjoyed them. I savored it. It was good. It was delicious. What did she say? She said, I sat with the candy, slowly ate it, and even savored it, which I never do. It's always gulp down the hatch. So here's the thing. She started off with the rule, I can't have candy. So if she eats candy with that rule in mind, she's probably zoning out, right? So I'm just going to eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. It's down the hatch. She didn't even taste it. Now her need hasn't been met and she's broken her rule, right? No good. So this is why I mentioned it in the very beginning of this challenge this week. You've got to give yourself full permission to eat. If what you want is a piece of candy, open that up, but open it up and stay connected and mindful to the process, right? So she did that. She opened it up. She got rid of her rule. She said, fine, I'm going to have the candy. She sat down and she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. And the reason why the enjoyment is so important is because when she allowed herself to stay connected to it and she enjoyed it, it met the need. So she was able to eat the candy and then be done. It met the need, right? So again, the need for candy, we'll say for another day, that's mixed up with emotion and physiology and what's happening in the biology and all that kind of stuff. But in that moment, it met her need, right? Because she stayed connected to it and she actually allowed the candy to be a part of her experience. She stayed mindful with it. So now it met the need. And so now she made the choice mindfully and she was able to be done with the choice and not have the guilt and the shame and the frustration because the need is met. There's an amount of candy. We enjoyed the candy. Now we move on. So while that sounds very scary to people because they'll say, yeah, but I shouldn't be eating candy, right? Think about it this way. As you try so hard to ignore the desire for candy and, okay, I'm going to eat other things instead of it, that was doing more damage, right? That she's eating everything else in the pantry in an effort to avoid the candy. You're better off just having a couple pieces of candy, right? Because now that need goes away and you don't have all of the after effect of frustration and guilt and shame and all that kinds of stuff, okay? There's one more thing I wanted to say about her note here. Mindlessly search the pantry, eating everything in sight. Oh, the last part that she said, you're right. Sometimes it's worth it and sometimes it's not. Here's the thing. That need or desire for candy can change moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour, right? So maybe today it doesn't feel the same, right? So she goes back today and goes, okay, I want to do the candy again. There might be that little nagging voice that goes, do you really? Do we really want that? Or how many pieces do we want or whatever? She said she ate 5 pieces of candy. This might be great. This might be not so great. Who knows? It's individual for everybody. But again, her job is to stay mindful and connected to the process and ask herself, does it feel worth it to me today? Does it feel worth it to me right now? Is this the need that I'm trying to meet, right? So that goes into one of your other questions, which I have up over here. You should see this. I've got like you guys are live over here and then the Zoom's over here and then your comments are on the phone over here. I'm a mess. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so that brings me to another piece that I wanted to talk about, which One of you said that you are staying in Portugal for a month right now. Yay for you. Good job. That's awesome. And you'll see where this comes into play. So she says, the question of, is it worth it, has been particularly relevant to me because I'm staying in Portugal for a month right now. I think my tendency on vacation is to have as much special indulgent food as possible because it feels like a rare opportunity. And this was a great insight she had, and very true. By the way, I feel like I can always find a rare occasion. But I end up actually feeling kind of sick, and it's not sustainable health or money-wise for me to eat that way, right? Where did I just lose that? Okay. There are marginal happiness returns on eating this way all the time. The other day, I was thinking about getting a pastry and a coffee and sitting in a square. I asked Eliza's question, is it still worth it? And it made me realize that a big part of why I have a positive association with an experience like this is that I like to people watch and enjoy the weather. And I can actually do that without the pastry. What a great revelation, right? Or realization. And the pastry doesn't matter. Can I have it? Can't I have it? Should I have it? Shouldn't I have it? It doesn't matter. What she's saying is the reason why I like to do that is because I like to people watch. I'm in Portugal, I like to people watch and see all the things around me. I have an association with sitting and having some coffee and some pastry, but do I really want or need that in order to enjoy the environment that I'm in? Great question. Okay. I can actually do that without the pastry and the guilt that comes with it. That being said, when I did go to a restaurant yesterday, I got a cheesecake after my meal and enjoyed every bite, and even left a little because I realized I didn't need any more. Going back to being mindful, staying connected to it, and really enjoying what you're eating because you've dropped the rules, your body starts to give you different cues and say, oh, this cheesecake was really delicious. I think I'm done here. Right? Like, I think I've had enough here. Okay. So she left some on her plate because she didn't need any more. I think it's going well so far, but this is the piece that I wanted to connect. I think it's going well so far, but I'm worried I won't be able to sustain it. It's pretty tiring to constantly be interrogating my urges, and I'm worried that I will revert back to an easier way. I do feel more empowered and more in control around food at the moment. Okay, awesome. You feel more empowered and more in control around food. Here's the argument I want to make. And this is probably a bigger existential conversation that we'll need to save for, as we continue in this process, because we're going to build on these. But when she's saying that it's tiring to sort of evaluate this, right? And evaluate her urges and sort of like, am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life to evaluate? Do I want this? Do I not want this? And the answer is yes, you are going to have to do that. But here's the thing. Well, the reason why it feels tiring right now is because it's mentally taxing because you're doing something new, right? Because you're asking yourself a new set of questions. You're doing it in a different way. So it's taking resources and energy in your prefrontal cortex and directing it towards a new line of questioning. Oh, can I remember to be mindful? Oh, can I remember? So you're putting energy into focusing on becoming a new person. But as you train yourself to do this more naturally, the brain then starts to accept that as part of who you are. And that starts to filter into different parts of your brain that are responsible for habituation and homeostasis. And once we do that, and it starts to become second nature for us, this concept of being mindful of your urges and asking if it's worth it, that just becomes second nature to who you are. So two pieces to this, and I'll try to keep it brief. But first of all, be careful not to be afraid of going back, okay? Because when we start to put focus on, well, what if I can't sustain this? What if I can't do this? What if I can't do this? What if I can't? The energy builds around the what if I can't, right? And so you don't want to give energy to what if I can't. You want to give energy to this feels so good. That's where you want to keep your focus. It feels empowered. I feel more in control. And every time your brain takes you to, but what if, but what if, but what if, but what if, bring it back to, yeah, but this felt really good. I did this. That felt empowering. I felt really in control. I liked the way that felt. Again, side note, it's hard being with you all for 15, 20 minutes a day because there's a lot of sort of brain and neuroscience going on here, which is all things that I dive really deep into in my programs. But it would take me kind of hours to dive into it here, and it's not the right context to do that in. But just know that your brain is reorganizing when you start to make changes like this. And at first, it wants to bring up roadblocks and say, but what if you don't do that again? But what if it, what if you fall off the wagon? What if you have, what if you overeat pizza tonight? Then it's all for nothing. The brain is just doing what it's trained to do, which is to keep you exactly as you are. So as you try to shift these ways of thinking and the questions that you're asking yourself, the brain is going to throw up some roadblocks for you. Your job is to stay connected to it and say, it's okay. I did it today. And so as far as Portugal is going, I did it today. I made that decision today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. And we'll see what happens the next day. And don't get caught up in the, what if I can't maintain this? Or what if it's going to be too hard? Or what if don't give energy to that what if that might keep you stuck. If you're going to give energy to anything, give it to the empowering feeling that you have, okay? The way it felt empowering for you to leave cheesecake on your plate. The way it felt empowering for you to say no to the pastry because you really just want to people watch. The way it felt empowering to you to say yes to something that really did feel delicious, and then know when you're done with it, right? Those all make you feel really empowered. So give energy to, wait, I like how that felt. I like how I felt after I did that. And then the other piece of this, as I said, is you're training yourself to become a new person. And you're not training yourself to, I'm going to evaluate my urges and stay mindful until I get into the size of jeans I want to get into. That's not what we're doing here. You're training yourself to become a person that says, I make choices on a regular basis about my food and my movement that make me feel empowered and in control and more aligned with myself. You're going to do that, hopefully, for the rest of your life. So it's not something that, this is not temporary. And so when you say, man, is this going to take a lot of energy? It's really tiring. It gets easier because it just becomes part of who you are. For instance, do you wake up every morning and go, gosh, am I going to brush my teeth today? Or am I going to drink any water today? Or am I going to put on my clothes today? Or am I going to get out of bed today? Those things just happen. You just do them, right? They're easy. You don't have to worry about it or think about it. This becomes like that. It's just that we live in an obesogenic environment. If any of you have read the book, a lot of you have. We live in an environment that's set up for us to struggle with weight. The type of food, the amount of food, the access to food, the choices of food, the marketing of food, all of it is set up for us to overconsume, right? That's not meant to be a dark cloud. It's just meant to say that in order for us to maintain a healthy mindset and physical body, we need to be intentional and active with the way that we approach the food environment, right? And so all you're doing when you go in Portugal, even, she's on vacation for a month, good for you, but she's still being mindful and saying, wait a second, how do I want to feel on this vacation? Do I want to spend my vacation waking up feeling frustrated that I overeat all the time? No, that doesn't make me feel good. I want to feel empowered. So the way that I do that is to practice being mindful. She said, what did she say? She said, I'm afraid I will go back to an easier way. And my argument is it actually easier to just mindlessly eat and then feel bad about it later? Does that feel easier? My guess is in the moment, it might feel easier, but long-term makes you feel more frustrated, guilt and shame. Why did I do that? Why do I eat that way? And how am I going to eat tomorrow? And I'm not going home for another 3 weeks. And so am I going to eat this way the whole time? That's not easier. That makes you feel worse. And so while in the beginning, you might find that it's more mentally taxing to stay aware of and be mindful and ask yourself this line of questioning, in the long run, it makes it easier for you to become the happiest and healthiest version of yourself, because this is just who you are. I ask myself these questions, even when I'm on vacation. Does that feel worth it to me? How much until I feel satisfied? Does it feel worth it to me for dinner? Does it feel worth it to me for breakfast? It's just a natural line of questioning. And here's my last thing I'll say to this, and then I'll let you guys go. you're doing it anyways. Every day, you're asking questions about what you want to eat and how to fix it and where to get it. And da, 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 da. It's just that the line of questioning that you've been using is not serving you. And so as you're inserting a new line of questioning, it does feel like it's mentally taxing. But know that you're the same way that the way you make decisions right now about food feel automatic, even if they aren't super helpful, right? Even if it's leading you towards eating in a way that doesn't feel very aligned, it's automatic. It just happens automatically. And so what you're doing is replacing it with a new line of questioning that will hopefully become automatic for you over time as you continue to do it. I can attest that many, many people, myself included, do this naturally and very quickly. Every restaurant I go to, every coffee shop I go to, every meal I eat really becomes, hey, what feels supportive to me right now? What feels worth it to me right now? What kind of food will make me feel empowered after I eat it? It's just a different insertion of a line of questioning. You already have a line of questioning. It's just not helping you. Your current line of questioning is just not helping you. Okay, I'm going to check and see if there's any comments. I don't see any. I think we're good. I'll check all the places where the comments might be. I think we're good. Okay. Hi, Alan. I don't see any comments. Let me know if you have any questions. No questions in here. Okay, everyone. Hopefully that was helpful for you. So tomorrow we wrap up the first week's challenge, your Is It Worth It challenge. I'll kind of just wrap up the week, and then we take the weekend off. Still ask the Is It Worth It question over the weekend, and then we'll start a new challenge on Monday. I will see you tomorrow.